Life has its seasons, and not just the ones marked by weather. There are times we thrive and bloom, and others that are much more challenging. But much like the chill of winter, my next guest believes it's a season we should not fear or avoid, but instead an essential part of our journey. That's the idea behind a concept called wintering. We're calling on a woman who knows how to embrace the wintering seasons of life and emerge stronger and more grounded on the other side. Author and speaker Connie Sokol joins me in studio. Connie, so great to have you back.
So good to see you.
Let's start off with the definition. What is wintering?
Wintry, well, it kind of was made a little more popular by New York Times bestselling author Catherine May. She has a book on it. And this whole concept of when you have something that's deeply difficult, you take a block of time or a season to actually intentionally move through it. That you can clean out what's not serving you, and then you can come out on the other side with a little more wisdom, a little more understanding.
I really love this idea, and we're going to go into it a little bit more, but of accepting the space and the time that we're in, because it feels like so often, and I'm guilty of this, something hard comes and we are like, we got to get through it. We got to push through, and we try to do it as quickly as we can, and we're running from it.
Absolutely. And actually saying, no, it's fine, I'm fine. We're broken on the ground, and then we kind of start trying to stand up and say, I'm good. And we're not, instead of saying, I'm going to honor and acknowledge what's happening and what I need.
Yeah. So you've categorized this into 3 different types. The first one we're going to talk about is deep wintering. And we actually have a quote I'm going to read really quick that you shared with us. We treat wintering as an embarrassing anomaly that should be hidden or ignored. This means we've made a secret of an entirely ordinary process. Yet, wintering brings about insightful moments of human experience. Wisdom resides in those who have wintered. Okay, I love this.
I love that.
I love this so much. It really is making me think. And again, the wisdom resides in there. So why are we running from it?
Exactly.
So for those of us who might be in deep wintering, we've got some suggestions for a wintering statement.
Exactly. And I think so often we feel embarrassed and we act like everything's fine. Instead, we can say a statement as much to ourselves as to other people. Something so clear and simple as, I'm going through a deeply difficult season right now. I'm not as available as I used to be. I'm doing the best I can for myself and my family. So therefore, blah, the boundary, the thing that you can't do or the thing you're going to need to pare down without over-apologizing, without being embarrassed about it. A wonderful woman, Lisa Wallace, so darling, she was diagnosed with MS, has an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, her husband, and she said, this changed the way I had to do my life. She's a go-getter, but she went to one treatment and she actually stopped breathing. And she said, my husband was out of town. I couldn't get a hold of anyone. She said, I had to ask a virtual stranger to get my kids, pick them up, and get me back to the house. And she said, I changed the way I went about it. She started using these statements and then just expressing so much gratitude. And it made it easier for people to help her and for her to ask for help.
Right. We often put up, you've used this word, I'm fine,
Yes.
I'm good. Like that is our go-to, and it
Yes.
doesn't have to be.
It doesn't. And it actually creates connection because we're all going to be there at some point.
Yeah. All right. So the next one, let's move to soft wintering.
Yes.
So you believe this type of wintering is found a little bit more in the transitions.
Yeah. So this is if you go from something old to something new. Like you move, it's an old neighborhood, new neighborhood. Old job, new job. Maybe it's old year, new year, right? It's this kind of moving on. And yet sometimes we just feel like we got to do that in a day. And we don't have to. And we can enjoy the fact that we are moving on to something else without feeling like we got to pop up like a daisy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often think about this too with social media. Like you often see the before and afters, right? You see pictures of before and after, whatever that may be. It could be a diet, it could be a home decor, or whatever it is in life, right? A trial and then the after. And you see those quick pictures. And so in our minds, I feel like we're just, I don't know, we're conditioned to think, oh, it's got to be quick. That transition has to be quick. And it's not.
It's not, and that's where the wisdom is. It's in that giving it that time and healing that we don't have, but giving it that space. And I think that's such an important thing. And I think the first step, and we kind of skip this one, is to savor the old. We just kind of, okay, new year, boom, we're out, we're going. And instead, we can savor the old in those moments. One of the best ways that we love is to go through pictures and pick out our favorite pictures of those old experiences. We moved, and I got a digital frame, and we put on a couple hundred pictures. And I did worry that maybe seeing the old neighborhood would trigger my son, and be sad or whatever. See him sled down Dead Man's Hill. But actually, when it came up, it provided an opportunity to be able to talk about, oh, wasn't that so fun? Wasn't that great? And I think he started to see, hey, I was successful and happy there. I'm successful and happy here. And maybe it's not the place. Maybe it's, you know, the person.
Yeah, I love how maybe savoring can help you ease in to what you're moving into.
Absolutely, and that's another thing is we don't, like we said, we don't have to act like everything is beautiful now. We moved and now it's all gorgeous and it's wonderful. My sweet daughter last year, she felt to go to New York and she set things up beautifully, got with single adults, she got a place to stay, she had finances, she didn't have a job. She's like, I'll get one when I get out there. And 3 months later, she still did not have a job. And she's like fetal position at night, curling up, like, what is wrong? Then she finally got a great job working at a fashion design studio with a designer, so amazing. But she came home at Thanksgiving and Christmas and she needed to winter pajamas and all the things. And she did, she gave it that 2 weeks of, you know, just really grounding down. Went back, next day I FaceTimed her and said, how you doing? She's in New York. And she goes, Mom, it feels really good to be home. And I went, you just used the word home about New York.
Look at that.
She did her wintering and now she's like, I could stay here forever for like however long I need to.
How cool.
It was wonderful.
Wow. Okay. And this last one, we don't have as much time for anymore because I feel like we could spend hours on each one of these. But the last category is snowfall wintering.
Yes.
What does that mean?
That's when you're feeling a dip or you feel something surfacing and you give it what it needs in the moment as a preventative instead of just ignoring it and act like all is well. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine was like, she noticed I was really starting to get like tapped out. And she said, you know what, we're leaving for the weekend. They have a beautiful home way up north. And she's like, go take it for the weekend. And I did. And I just slept and rested and did spiritual habits and got that reset instead of when you let it go and then it's so much more complex and harder to recover.
And you notice quite a difference when you really actually allow yourself to winter, you're saying.
It's been amazing. I've wintered over these last few months in different ways. I'm slower intentionally, but I get just as much done. I have energy, but it's not this driven, it's more bubbling. I delegate more, but not focused on the outcomes, more like the connection. It's been glorious.
How neat. Okay, I feel like we need to try this. We all need to try this.
This is why I'm wearing my chunky sweater, the biggest one I could find, of like, let's winter down, people.
Yeah, and you're continuing this conversation over on Instagram?
Yes, Wednesday, 9 a.m. We're going to talk about the how-tos of wintering in your life.
Okay, so we got that Instagram Live to look forward to.
So
Perfect.
fun.
Thank you so much, Connie.
Thank you.